Every behavior that you have serves some purpose. And when you're having the ABCDs of negativity, that's not a bad thing. It's trying to let you know that you have unrealistic expectation. I'll be willing to bet that everybody who's maybe listening to this, you're probably having moments in your life where you get pretty angry. I've certainly had my share. And the impact of it is pretty profound. But first, let me talk about why it's there and what source it's coming from and how it comes about, and then maybe what it does to the physiology if it stays there. First of all, every human being lives by a set of priorities, a set of values, things that are most to least important in their life. And that includes you, and includes everyone that you're going to interact with, from children to spouse to friends to colleagues to customers, you name it. And in that hierarchy of values that each individual has, whatever's top on that value list is what they're inspired to fulfill most. Their ontological identity, who they think they are, revolves around it. Their primary objective, mission, or purpose in life revolves around it. And their epistemological pursuit, what they want to learn and what they want to become greatest at, revolves around it. That highest value. So anything that assists us in fulfilling that is inspiring to us. If somebody comes along and does something that challenges that, or we perceive as interfering with that, we tend to want to plow through that and get past that, because it's interfering with what we value, what we want in life, who we are. And if somebody comes along and supports it, then we tend to open up to them. We tend to close down to people that challenge it. We tend to open up to people that support it. So every human being has a unique set of priorities, set of values, and the highest one is unique. So no two people have the same set of priorities and values, and it's fingerprint specific. So everybody you're interacting with is either going to be similar or different, more supportive or challenging, probably friend or foe, and people you like or dislike. And there are people out there that completely have a different set of values than you. They're opposite of you. And very commonly you go find them and marry them. That's the funny part. But whatever it is that is highest on your values that you want to fulfill in life, as you go down, all the values become more extrinsic. And as you go up, more intrinsic. Intrinsic means you're spontaneously inspired from within to fulfill it. And extrinsic means you need to be motivated to do it if it's low in your values. So low, you need to be reminded and motivated, incentivized to do it. Because of this, anytime you expect yourself to live outside that hierarchy of values, that set of priorities that you live by, anytime you expect yourself to live outside that value, you're going to tend to defeat yourself. You're going to tend to beat yourself up. You'll tend to procrastinate, hesitate, frustrate doing those things, because anything that's low in your values, you procrastinate, hesitate, and frustrate doing. Anything that's high in your values, you're disciplined, reliable, and focused doing. So anytime you expect yourself to do something other than what's really most important to you, highest on the value, you're going to let yourself down, and you're going to self-depreciate, and you're going to feel like you're letting yourself down, and you're going to feel like, you're self-depreciate. That's the way I describe it, self-depreciation. And you feel like you're letting yourself down. You're not living up to expectation. So anytime you expect yourself to live outside what you value most, you're going to end up being angry at yourself. And anytime you expect yourself to live according to your highest values, you're going to be reliant. You're going to be disciplined, reliable, and focused. You'll get things done, and you'll be appreciative of yourself. So anytime you set goals that are aligned with your highest values, you appreciate. Anytime you put it lower on your values, you depreciate. Now, that also occurs for other people. So any human being that you're interacting with, spouse, kids, whatever, anytime you expect them to live outside their highest values, they're going to let you down. They're not really betraying you. You're betraying you because you're expecting them to do something they're not going to do. Every time they perceive, decide, and act, it's based on what they value most. And every decision they make is based on what they believe will give them the greatest advantage or disadvantage at any moment. So anytime you expect a human being to live outside what they value most, you're going to be let down. You're going to feel frustrated because they're not going to be doing what you expect. Now, they're not wrong for being who they are, but you may be unwise expecting them to be something they're not, because their identity revolves around the highest values, and that's who they are, that's their decisions, and that's what you can rely on. You can rely on me to be teaching, researching, and writing, but you can't rely on me to be socializing and drinking and partying and doing other things, because that's just not my value. So anytime you expect me to do that, I'm going to let you down. And anytime you expect another human being to live in your values or live outside their values, you're going to have anger and aggression. You're going to want to blame them and feel betrayed. You're going to want to criticize them and challenge them back. You're going to feel, depressed and despaired. You're going to want to exit and escape them probably. You're going to feel frustrated and futile, grouchy and grieving, hate them and hurt them. And you're going to want to be, irritable and irrational around them, because you're expecting them to be living outside what they value most. So anytime you expect them to live outside their values, you're going to have that. And anytime you expect yourself to live outside your own values, you're going to have it towards yourself. So you're going to be angry to others or angry at yourself if you expect you to live outside your values or them outside theirs. Also, no human being is one-sided in life. So anytime you expect someone to be a one-sided individual, nice, never mean, kind, never cruel, positive, never negative, peaceful, never wrathful, giving, never taking, anytime you expect them to be one-sided, again, you're setting yourself up for unrealistic expectations. Anger means unmet expectation. And if your expectations are unrealistic, well, you're going to be angry because they're not going to meet those unrealistic expectations. So anytime you expect others to be one-sided or expect yourself to be one-sided, you're going to be angry at them or yourself. You're going to have what I call the ABCDs of negativity towards them or towards yourself. So let's rephrase that. Anytime you expect them to live in your values, anytime you expect them to be one-sided, you're going to end up with the anger because you're having an unrealistic expectation that's going to be unmet. Anytime you expect yourself to be one-sided or expect yourself to live outside your own highest values, again, you're going to be angry at yourself. So I want to make sure you get this, that your anger towards others or you is a feedback mechanism to let you know you have unrealistic expectations. So blaming somebody for not living up to your unrealistic expectations is delusional. The only thing you can expect a human being to do is to live according to their own values. Now, if you don't know what their values are, well, and you don't know your own values, well, you're going to have to live with all kind of unrealistic expectations probably. That's why I have on my website the value determination process. Please go to drdemartini.com, go and take 30 minutes of your time, go through 13 questions to take a look at what you really value and what, if maybe your friend can do the same and find out what they really value. If you discover what it is, now you know what to expect. When you have realistic expectations for people to do whatever they think will be fulfilling to their highest values, you're not likely to get angry. And when you get angry, you create, again, physiological feedback, because now you have an expectation that's unmet. That activates the sympathetic nervous system, causes a fight or flight response. You get angry, want to fight with them or want to avoid them, fight or flight, and you tend to want to challenge them and criticize them and all the behaviors I just mentioned. And now you're sitting around doing that. And what that does is raises blood sugar. So you increase with hyper things. It lowers your insulin. It raises your glucagon. It makes you ready for fight or flight. It moves your blood from the internal gut out into the periphery. Your muscles get tense and tight. Your jaw gets tight. Your eyes get red. Your digestive system shuts down. Your bowels shut down. Your intestines and digestive system shut down. All the sympathetic responses that go on for fight or flight, your testosterone goes up. You get more aggressive. Your musculature is tightened up. I mean, you have vasoconstriction and vasodilation in different organs. Your physiology is letting you know that you have an unrealistic expectation. Anger is a feedback mechanism to let you know that you're expecting somebody to live outside their values or one-sided, or expecting yourself to live outside your values or one-sided, or expecting a group of people or collective society to be one-sided or live outside its individual values. Anytime you have those unrealistic expectations, well, anger is your friend. Anger is not a bad thing. I mean, it's amazing how we've labeled certain behaviors good and others bad. I think that whole thing is antiquated. Every behavior that you have serves some purpose. And when you're having the ABCDs of negativity, that's not a bad thing. It's trying to let you know that you have unrealistic expectations. I've said when you're depressed and you're angry and depressed, it's because you're comparing your current reality to some fantasy or unrealistic expectation you're having. As long as you have that, that's not a bad thing to have anger. It's letting you know, hey, you got an unrealistic expectation. You're expecting that individual to be living one-sided or in your values or outside their values. I have people that come up to me and they expect me to be doing something that's not important to me. And when they do, and they project self-righteously those values onto me, and I don't live up to it, they're angry. And I'm going, I'm just being me, but you're projecting an expectation on me to be somebody who I'm not. And so if I do, their self-righteous projection of their values onto me, expecting me to live in their values or do what they want me to do or be one-sided, well, then they're going to be angry. I can't control their perceptions and their expectations and their reactions, but I'm not the source of it necessarily. Now, if I do something and put expectations on them and unrealistic, and they can get frustrated by that, now I'm creating my own reality because now I'm putting an unrealistic expectation on. Now I'm angry and they're angry. And you can imagine going all over the world, going with all these different people in your life and having unrealistic expectations. Now everybody's angry and they're all under sympathetic response. And then they have this cardiovascular hypertension, and they have diabetes, and they have strokes, and all the things that go along with chronic unrealistic expectations and angers. So my main objectives today is to make you realize that, hey, your anger is under your governance. It's nothing what happens to you out there. It's what you perceive and expect. And if you expect something that's not realistic, well, you're gonna be angry. If I go into a restaurant and I order something and I have an expectation based on what's on the menu, and they don't deliver what's on the menu when I've ordered something on the menu, and that the person didn't listen to my order, even though I've written it down and handed it to them or something, well, then I might have a realistic expectation for them to do that. But if I'm expecting them to live outside their own values and I expect them to do something that's unrealistic, well, then I have to be accountable for my own reality. But sometimes we have these ideas, people say they're going to do something, but I found out a long time ago, I don't go by what people say, I go by what their values are. Because sometimes people don't want to upset you and they'll tell you what you want to hear, and then you expect them to do something, and then you think, well, you didn't honor what you said. Well, ideally, people will do that, but you got to realize that anytime somebody's in a situation living in their values and they say they're going to do something, but between the time they said they were going to do it and the time that it was to be done, something else came up that was higher on their values that would give them more benefit than drawback, they're going to go and decide to do that. Every decision you make in life is based on what you believe will give the greatest advantage or disadvantage at any moment in time. I had a situation where I was asked to go and do a presentation in London, and there's about 200 people signed up for it, and it was about 2 weeks or so away, and we scheduled it about 2 weeks earlier. And all of a sudden I called the guy because I got a telephone call asking if I could go on the Larry King live show in Los Angeles on the same time I was to be in London to do this talk. So I thought, I really don't want to pass up the idea of going on Larry King. That's 99 million people I want to reach. And this is 200 people. And I'd rather upset these people than upset that and the opportunities that this brings. So I called the guy up and I said, listen, I've got a deal here. Something's come up. I know I've made a commitment to do that, and I want to make sure that we find a win-win out of this. But I've got an opportunity to go on Larry King Live now. If I was to do that show and we postpone that for a week and I came next week and you notified everybody that will be live on the show, could that increase the numbers of people that actually come to the program that you're promoting? He said, it could. I said, here's the deal. Whatever you owe me for this program for me to come in and speak, and whatever the difference is on the flights and everything else, if for some reason we do it a week from now and it's less than that, we'll work out a deal where it's fair. But if for some reason more people come because I do the show, then we'll split the upside of that, just like we'll do the downside. He said, well, that sounds fair. So I tried to find a way where we win-win out of it. I did the show. We had more people. We had about 400 people there. And as a result of it, we both won out of it. But my objective was not to go against what I agreed to. But if I have an opportunity that's a greater opportunity, I'd like to take advantage of that opportunity. And so anytime you expect somebody to do something that they say they're going to do, just know that they live in a set of values. And they may have found out that their child just ended up in the hospital, or they may have found out their mother just had cancer. They may have just found out there was a car accident and they're trying to save a life. anything that's going to be higher on their values in that moment to do, they're going to make a decision based on that moment. So if you understand that you're actually only expecting them to live in their values, not necessarily what they even say. Because sometimes they can say something and something greater comes along that's more important to them or more desperate than them for them. And they're going to make a difference and all of a sudden change that decision they're doing and let you down. So you're basically dealing with this all day long, and everybody's facing these decisions at all times. And although we have an intention of living up to our word, we may have situations that are different. They're unexpected. We didn't foresee when we made the statement, we'll do that. So just know that people live according to their values. They don't live according to yours. And if they do something that is changed from what they said they're going to do, instead of just judging them and being harsh on them, find out what it is that made them make the change in the decision. And if you do, you'll have less anger, you'll have less physiological symptoms. But anger is a feedback mechanism to give you a feedback to let you know that, hey, I have an expectation for somebody to live outside their values or one-sided. If you expected your spouse to be always kind, never cruel, always nice, never mean, there's no way that's going to happen, because anytime you support their values, they'd be nice as a pussycat. Every time you challenge their values, they're going to be mean as a tiger. Human beings are both-sided. I'm not a nice person. I'm not a mean person. I'm a human being, an individual with both sides. I can have, if all of a sudden they say, well, sorry, your air, even though you have a first-class ticket and you've got thousands of miles on our airline, somehow we've done an oversight and you're going to miss your flight because we don't have any seats. I'm not going to sit there and go into a Zen mode and go, probably. I'm probably going to ask questions and get a little assertive and trying to hold them accountable. And so, because I'm now having an expectation to live by what they say. So I'm not a nice person. I can be mean. I can be mean or nice, depending on whether you challenge or support my values. So can everybody else. So just realize that people live according to their values. They're making decisions at every moment according to what they believe will give them the greatest advantage or disadvantage. They're perceiving, deciding, and acting according to those values. If you don't know what those values are, you're vulnerable to having unrealistic expectations. You're also vulnerable if you have unrealistic expectations for them to be one-sided more than the other. Moral hypocrisies about how people are supposed to be do not face the truth about how human beings really function. So I'm not interested in the ideals. I'm interested in who they are and what their values are, and understand that if they've done something that's not matching what I expect that they agreed to do, it's probably because something greater came up that was more important to them than what I was offering them in that time. Anytime you want somebody to live up to their expectation and tell you the truth and live up to it, just know that your responsibility to give them a value in doing so greater than the options that might come along. As long as you give them a great value in doing it, then they're probably going to be there. But just know that anytime you have an unrealistic expectation on another human being that's unmet, you're going to probably have a reaction of anger. The anger is a feedback to give you an understanding of how to set realistic expectations according to people's values, including on yourself and your loved ones. Once you do that and you own the responsibility for that, you're less likely to have a physiological fight or flight response and create illness. Chronic anger that stays and resentful. You know, I teach the Breakthrough Experience program, which is a thing I've done for 34 years almost. And I have people every single weekend that are resentful and upset and angry about something in their family. Their mother wasn't there from their father was this, and their spouse did this, their husband did this. They have all these expectations. It boils down to an unrealistic expectation on those people in most cases. In the Breakthrough Experience, I developed the Demartini method on how to dissolve that, how to clear that, how to release that biological tension and those stress responses. So you're not sitting there creating in your subconscious mind a whole bunch of anger that's just festering inside, causing illness inside. Your illness is a feedback to let you know that you're storing up a bunch of subconsciously stored emotions that are usually because of these unrealistic expectations. When we get grounded about how human beings really function, we don't have as many unrealistic expectations, and our body and our physiology works wonders. That's what I teach people in the Breakthrough Experience, how to dissolve all that, and then how to have realistic expectations, how to determine people's values, how to set realistic expectations accordingly, and allow to love your life again. Because there's no reason why you have to beat yourself up and beat other people up because of these unrealistic expectations. Now, if somebody agrees to do something and they don't do it, again, stop. Instead of reacting, find out what came up that was more important than what they said they were going to do. like I said, if all of a sudden I was to ask my girlfriend, would you like to go and do something, go to a quantum physics seminar, and somebody else has offered her the opportunity to go to the spa, she's going to take the spa. Or if she said, well, I'll do the quantum physics seminar, and somebody came along and said, hey, there's a spa opportunity and a discount on sales somewhere, she's going to, in her value system, is going to go that direction. And I can expect that. So just realize, put your expectations according to what people really value in the hierarchy of their values. And when you do, you'll appreciate people for who they are. And then you're going to love them for who they are, not who they're supposed to be. And in the process of doing it, you'll have less anger and you will have less physiological health problems, and you'll appreciate it, because a lot of anger that's stored causes hypertension and causes diabetic responses and many other factors that affect hormones and transmitters. But I just wanted to go through that and talk about anger a bit today, because there's no reason why you have to sit there and harbor on it. We've got the Demartini method, the breakthrough experience, to dissolve it. And so if there's anybody here that's got something that they've been festering about, blaming some parent wasn't there, blaming some parent that was aggressive, or some spouse that did this, or somebody had an affair, I don't care what the source of it is, whatever that source is, if you'd like to dissolve it, I can show you a science on how to dissolve it so you can start fresh again, rebuild whatever relationship you want, set realistic expectations, and transform your physiology and psychology. So if there's something you would like to do and clear that, then come and join me for the breakthrough experience. The breakthrough experience is something that I've been doing, like I said, 1,153 times around the world. And it's an amazing program that I know can make a difference in your life. So if you'd like to not live with as much anger, you have now access to the breakthrough experience. And if you want to master your life and master your mind, then the breakthrough experiences help you. That'll give you some insights. And join me for the breakthrough experience. And let me show you how to dissolve the anger that you might be carrying around unnecessarily. And you may think it's justified, but it's not. Look, you're the one nobody's going to be affected by the anger really but you. You're the one that's going to be storing it. You're the one that's going to have a physiological effect on it. And it's absolutely dissolvable. I haven't seen too many angers that have come into my breakthrough experience that we haven't been able to dissolve. The only reason they wouldn't do it is because they just refuse to give it up. They just want to hold on to it. And I've got a series of questions in the breakthrough experience, the Demartini method, on how to dissolve it. And if you answer this question, it's over with. And it clears your physiology. You feel lighter and your health returns. Just come to the breakthrough experience. What you're going to learn there is gold. And if you want to dissolve some of the baggage that you got so you can refresh your relationships, spouses, kids, loved ones, family, whoever it is, come to the breakthrough experience. Let me help you transform your life and get back on track, set realistic expectations. You can be fulfilled and grateful in life. Anyway, that's my presentation for today. I look forward to seeing you next week. But join me at the breakthrough experience, because I can make a difference in your life if you come.